back to basics on this episode of the show, a topic that I want to come back to that I talk about a lot, which is meta media buying, how to do it, what is the right account setup, what are the non-negotiables for your meta account, and really why it matters so much and why I won't shut up about it. Media buying is the problem. I'm going to repeat that comment. Media buying is the problem. It is the problem with your ad account, very possibly. It's possible that all kinds of things are the problem in your ad account, but I have become increasingly convinced recently that it is a bad idea for me and for other people who talk about manual bidding in your media buying account and thinking financially about your targets and using cost controls and leveraging machine learning everywhere you can. I've been thinking a little bit, there's a number of voices who sometimes will say things like, we get it. Shut up about cost caps and bid caps and whatever else. We get it. That's not the thing. You got to do all those other things in your ad account if you want to make your business work. And that is, of course, strictly speaking, true. Manual bids will not solve all of your ad account problems, but I am convinced they will solve more of them than you think, than many people think. Okay. And it's because I just keep seeing ad accounts that are being run in all kinds of other ways for all kinds of other reasons than running bid caps and TROAS targets and consolidating where you can, separating campaigns maybe by product or by offer, but running CBO, no creative testing campaigns, like all the stuff I talk about all the time. There's accounts that are doing all of the sort of old way of doing this, right? It's like lookalike ads, ABO creative testing, or lookalike audiences, ABO creative testing, auto bids, turning off individual ads that are and are not, that a media buyer thinks aren't working because they're under target, running view attribution, all of this stuff that I talk about so much, and auto bidding everything. And I am just amazed at how much impact there is to be had by simply switching your ad account to manual bids. Now, there's so much to say about this. The first thing I want to say is, here's one of the things that is basically right, which is that a step back from there's a lot of other stuff you have to do to make a good brand work. This is what people are definitely right about, okay? Your creative has to be good. Your product has to have unit economics that make sense so that, really, if you're under 60 points of margin landed to the customer, you probably should try to solve that unless you have some other things going on in your business, like extraordinary LTV or extraordinary demand or extraordinary TAM or some strategy that's really thoughtful and well considered around that. Like, that really matters. Getting your funnel dialed in is important. Your supply chain, your inventory, turnaround time, all that stuff. Again, creative strategy can matter a lot, like just learning to sell the product. But like all those things matter. And really, probably to get from $0 of spend to a couple grand a day in spend, you need to do a lot of those things. It's just going to be really hard to get there without having that stuff dialed in. You just might not have enough demand. Your creative might not be good enough to get you to some baseline levels. But once you are there, the impact that you can make on media buying is way bigger than people think. And over and over and over again, when I look at accounts that are not performing that well, what I see is under-optimized media buying, holding people back. They actually have done lots of that hard work. This is part of the thing that's so frustrating about it for me to watch. Part of the thing that makes me crazy about it is people do all the hard work of building incredible brands. They have created products that they care about and they like, and they've got good margins and all those things. So they see forward progress or whatever, and they're just leaving so much money on the table and making their businesses so much more difficult on them than they need to be because there's so much wasted money in their ad account. Part of the reason you should stop listening when someone tells you media buying doesn't matter, manual bids don't matter that much, creative is the only thing that matters. There should be a thing in your head that goes off that says, why wouldn't that matter? How I allocate my second or third biggest line item in my business matters. It's like very likely the case that in your business, your meta ad spend is the number one, the number two, and maybe even the number one cost in your business, depending on how much your COGS are. Okay. Because it's probably product is your number one cost, most likely, but it's right up there. It's one of the top line items in your business. So the idea that you shouldn't think carefully and critically about how to allocate those dollars is crazy. It is crazy. And you should not listen to that advice. You should not listen to it. You should care about every part of how that spend is managed because it is the biggest spend or one of the biggest spends in your business, and you should optimize it. It's worth lots and lots and lots of money to you. And so to come back to this comment a second ago, if you are at $10,000 in spend per month, media buying, switching to manual bids is very unlikely to take you to 100. It's just really unlikely. Okay, it's at that point, it's probably the case that you would have turned up your ad spend already on auto bids. But here's one of the things that people really miss. Let's take that particular example I gave. Okay. So in that case, by the way, just to back up, what should you do? Yeah, you should dial in your product, you should dial in your offer, you should dial in your creative, dial in your margins, all those kinds of things. Okay. I mean, at that point, you still should be running like a really consolidated approach. I would still recommend running manual bids, by the way. It's still the best way to do it. You should probably have manual bids, maybe one ASC, 0% existing customer cap, spend like that, run cost caps and see how far you can get. But once you've done that, right, like, and you get your spend increased to some degree, one of the things I want you to realize that's going to happen there is that almost by definition, you have made the problem of your account drastically more complex. So think about it. If you're managing $10,000 a day in spend, or excuse me, $10,000 a month in spend, that's probably one or two campaigns with one or two ads doing most of the spending. And your auto bid approach at that point, while still under optimized, you can turn up or down your spend a little bit and probably be closer within the range of spending the quote unquote correct amount of money. You will see the impact in your actual Shopify account really, really clearly, et cetera, right? But when you get to $100,000 a month in spend, right? And this is before we're talking about $1 million a month in spend. Okay, so just 100. Now, you probably have a bunch of ads, a number of campaigns, multiple products, different unit economic considerations, and you've made the problem of the ad account and the allocation of your dollars more complex. So before we say anything else about manual bids, having external tools to run your ad account is going to really, having machine learning optimized tools to run your ad account is going to make a really big difference for you. Because now your human lizard brain is going to have a harder and harder time keeping all the details straight. So not only are you worse at this at the baseline than machine learning is, which is much better at probabilistically forecasting the future and allocating your spend accordingly, which is what manual bids do. Okay, you're already bad at this game, but when you make the game more complex, you are way worse at it. You're just way worse at it. And so I look at ad accounts. I looked at an ad account the other day that was spending in the hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, like mid six figures. What is that? Yeah, mid six figures per month in spend, like a good healthy spend, right? And I saw in that ad account like all of these different things happening, including like very high spending ads just like turned off, probably because the media buyer analyzed it and thought it was performing poorly. And now they have to analyze like, how is that ad performing relative to the other ads advertising different products, all with different unit economic considerations. Plus, the customer might click on product A, go to product B. How do you factor that in? You're running lowest cost, so how's the CAC relative to the different AOVs? Like there's just all of these different considerations. What about the spend today and how that affects the sale you're going to run in 7 days? And is that product going to be on sale or not? And if that product's on sale, how does that change the unit economic considerations? All of those things make the whole problem more complex. And what Meta's machine learning does for you is makes it drastically simpler and says, here, let my machine stay on top of all those details for you and spend more and more and more. And sometimes people will say things like, I don't know, larger spending accounts that are using cost caps or bid caps or TROIs. Well, first of all, that's like just fundamentally wrong. I run ad accounts myself that have hit $1 million in spend in a month and 100% manual bids. So if that's not a big spending account, like I know there's bigger ones, but come on, there's plenty of spend there, and you can deploy lots and lots of dollars doing this. In fact, I'd argue you can deploy more dollars running manual bids than auto bid campaigns, for the reason I just said. The complexity issue makes it only harder the more that the spend goes through. So that idea is just basically wrong. But on top of the fact that it's just like straight up wrong that people are not spending on large accounts with manual bids, they should be, because they have way more to gain by doing this. The impact of allocating, even if the entire thing was a 10% increase in value, like if that was the only value increase you were going to get by switching your ad account from auto bids to manual bids, by switching from view attribution to click attribution, by thinking about unit economics down to the product level, by layering TROAS campaigns in with lowest cost campaigns, like and I say lowest cost, but what I mean by that is CAC optimized campaigns, right? So bid caps, cost caps. I'm not saying auto bid campaigns. Sorry, people are confused about that. But bid caps, cost caps, they are lowest cost campaigns. They are optimizing for the lowest cost conversion. So that's what I mean. While you are running this setup in your ad account, you should be doing it and tracking all of the purchases that come through via BILY, BILY.ai. BILY is the third-party meta ads tracking tool that I use with my clients. It is 100% server-side tracking, and the benefit is really simple, which is that you get more accurate data going from your store, the purchases from your store, back into your meta ads dashboard. That means your dashboard not only reports data more accurately, which is nice in and of itself, but it actually gets more data, more accurate data sent back to it, which could help it optimize more. Sometimes you'll see even an increase in spend because Meta is getting more information, and the more information Meta has, the better it can optimize. So go run your manual bids and run them with BILY. That's what I do for my accounts. BILY is also the most affordable option on the market for server-side tracking tools, and it's also the easiest to install that I'm aware of. You can actually get started for $1 for the first month. And so if you want to try BILY, if you want to test it against your current tracking setup, you can look at the event match quality scores. You can see how the ROAS goes head-to-head, same ads against two different campaigns that are running two different pixels. It's really easy to do, to run that test. That's what I've done with my clients. It has worked out well. Go to BILY.ai, BILY.ai to use BILY today. Whether you're switching from the standard Shopify integration or another third-party tool, I have seen BILY beat every other tool and the standard integration for conversion tracking. The best conversion tracking setup I know of, and I've seen it beat it over and over again, including at the level of event match quality scores. So go check it out right now, BILY.ai, use BILY, it's what I use. If you make a 10% impact on a brand spending, let's say $500,000 a month, that is a $50,000 per month impact. You're getting near the point of $1 million a year at that point in value, right? You're starting to approach that number. That's a huge amount of money to get right. And so now a 10% impact on a $10,000 a month spend isn't that big of a deal. You shouldn't care that much about it, right? But what you should care about is as that ad account gets bigger and more complex, it should be a non-negotiable. I mean, if you are listening to or watching this podcast right now and you are auto bidding an ad account that is spending more than $100,000 a month, you ought to reach out to me, podcast@ajfgrowth.com. I am taking no more business. Like, this is not a sales call. Like, and just like, let me see if I can help you figure out how to make the switch sooner than later. Okay. And the reason why is that there is potentially a very large impact on your business by making that switch over to bid caps, cost caps, and TROS bidding. Because again, the problem has become more complex because you're spending more money, and therefore there's more opportunities for your human lizard brain to get it wrong and manual bidding to get it right. And secondly, not only is the problem more complex, but you just have more to gain or lose, even if you have a small percentage impact. Okay. So it makes a really, really big difference. There's so much more I was going to say about this. So, and I could go on and on and on here. And the reason I'm like sort of fired up about it today is because I'm just watching the conversation continue to develop in different ways. And I'm continuing to see different people come to me and ask for my input on their account and how do I go make this move? And it is just remarkable to me how much impact there really can be by doing this well. The other thing is, I said a 10% impact, but actually I'm running an account right now that had an impact just on media buying principles alone that saw like a 2 to 3x increase in spend just by doing this well. Now that is an outlier. That's normally not what's happening. Okay. But it can actually make a really big impact. And crucially, that impact is actually extremely low cost in terms of your time and effort to get right. Like if you want to generate more creative that's going to double or triple your spend, right? Again, that's an outlier scenario, right? I'm certainly not saying that you're going to double or triple your spend by switching to manual bids, though I've seen it. The actual time cost of doing that is really low. And the reason why is because once you have figured out your targets at the product level, you only have to do some quick duplicating in the ad account and rebuilding in the ad account to switch the account setup to be a manual bid-based account setup. And that actually can be really fast. So the cost to impact ratio on switching your account to manual bids is really, really, really strongly in favor of doing it. Generating new creative to do that, like I said, would take a huge amount of time. It would, like, you have to go and come up with the ideas and think about the funnels and potentially shoot the content and get a designer or a video editor involved or whatever, right? It's potentially quite a bit of time and effort, but actually simply going and switching over your account to manual bids can be a pretty low cost thing. In fact, there are ways to do it where there's almost no risk to your auto bid spend if you really, really want to. You can make the switch over from auto bids to manual bids and just keep your manual bids really, really aggressive so that and keep your budgets lower, and you can just make sure you keep getting your spend through if you're nervous about making the switch. So you just keep your budgets where they were before, keep your manual bids pretty aggressive, and then just tick your manual bids more toward their true targets over time and see if you keep getting spend through. And what I'm guessing will happen if you do that is that you will see a better allocation of your money across your ad account and potentially even see a bigger impact than that. It's just amazing to me how well it can work and how important it is, I think, to do it. If you are not running manual bids, I am comfortable saying that at least, 95 to 98% of the time, it is a massive under optimization in your business that you can fix really fast. And so, no, I'm not going to shut up about it because it is too good of an opportunity for people who are out there trying to grow their businesses. It just makes too big of a potential impact. It won't solve all your problems. I have accounts that are stalled out just like you do. I have accounts where we're running that the right way and we're getting as much spend through, and now we have to figure out with creative and product offerings and all kinds of other things how we push it to the next stage. So it won't solve everything, but it will make a very big impact on your business, depending on how you're doing a lot of other things as well. And so I do think if you are still listening to and watching my podcast, if you've come to this and seen a lot of my episodes, and I've had this conversation with Taylor Holiday as well, who is kind of in the same boat. He was saying to me recently, just like, he's like, over and over, I see these accounts that come to us, and media buying is the place. It's the source of so much waste in these ad accounts. And he's dealing with all 8 and 9 figure businesses. And so, yeah, if you're in that boat, you absolutely owe it to yourself to consider it. If you're earlier in the process, or if you want to get your head around this more yourself, this is also the reason I talk about admissions so much from Common Thread Collective. It's the most structured training material of which I am aware, including the ability to get experienced media buying coaches to look over your shoulder at your ad account for a very reasonable cost to get your head around these principles with as much clarity as possible. I'm amazed at how many people ignore my advice to go sign up for admission, maybe because I have an affiliate commission with it, and I understand people are shilling, right? But like, people ignore that advice, and then I just watch over and over again as they waste. I mean, it's like, I forget what the cost of admission is. It's something like $1,000 for 3 months. There's 30-day money back guarantee. Like, go through my link. There's a link in the show notes. There's a money back guarantee. You get a free call with it. They make the barrier to entry pretty low. And I see so many people waste way more than $1,000 in their ad spend. They waste tens of thousands of dollars in their ad spend because they won't take the time to go learn the principles. Go learn the principles. And like I said, the most structured setting of which I am aware, and go do this yourself to not waste the money if that's what is required. Go get an agency who is going to buy this way and make it an absolute non-negotiable of the spend. It's not the only problem to solve. It's not. But it is a huge one that can make a really, really big difference in your business. It matters. It matters a lot. And don't listen to anybody who tells you it doesn't matter. It really does matter. Here's the basics of the account setup that I'd want to see that feel really good about. You should be running no creative testing campaigns. Launch all your new ads in CBO campaigns, whether it's ASC or not. ASC is basically a giant CBO campaign. You should be running it a mix of manual bids, which either bid caps or cost caps. I prefer bid caps. Once again, not the biggest deal which one you use. Okay, but I run bid caps. No view attribution in your attribution settings. That will only confuse you. You should run that alongside target ROAS bidding. Those targets should be informed by your unit economics. And the simplest way to do it, I think, is to separate out campaigns by product. Okay, just one product per campaign. You could also do one offer per campaign if you're running multiple offers in the same product. Okay, that simple setup. Broad targeting, all of it. Broad targeting, CBO, manual bids, no creative testing campaigns. That simple setup, click only attribution, will get you really, really, really far for building a great ad account and ultimately having the structure you need to scale as you generate more creative, more products, do all the stuff. That's the really fun parts of business, right? Where you are actually meeting customers where they're at with incredible products that they're going to love and enjoy. That's the stuff that you actually really care about. Set up your ad account to promote that stuff to them in a way that makes sense, and be amazed when you see there is a meaningful improvement in your ad account. Either you will waste less money, you will spend more money at the same target, or even better, both. The impact is serious. It's significant. Go do it and get it right. Okay, was that a podcast? Was that a video? Or was it just a rant? I don't know, but it just was on my mind. It was inspired by some work from today that I saw, and I just thought, like, we just have to talk about this some more. Just as a reminder to not get tired of things that make your business better. So go do the things I said today. Email me podcast@ajfgrowth.com. If you've got any questions, any follow-up about anything I said today, I might not have been that clear. I've got lots of other episodes on these topics, too many to list. Honestly, if you want to go see this in person, if you want to see it play out in terms of the way that I've set this up with brands, go to ajfgrowth.com/ let's say Beard Brand. Beard Brand is a more consolidated approach than I use for others, but you can actually see the ad account there. I've also got some other videos I've been doing recently where I've been talking through how manual bids have gone wrong for brands when they've gone wrong. They certainly can go wrong. And so there's another playlist in my YouTube channel. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll get all that stuff as it comes through. ajfgrowth.com for everything I'm doing, and at Andrew J. Ferris on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon.